Well, it was the final day of the ACAC Curling Championships in Vermilion. Moses Boldy joining me on the desk. You were there all weekend, got all the action.
You know what, Nairman? It was tiring going back and forth from Lloyd to Vermilion, but I'll tell you what, there was some great action. And of course, for the Lloydminster ladies, they definitely had some high hopes with medals up for grabs. The Lakeland women's team would lose the 1-2 playoff game and then move to the semifinal and then lose that. So they had one more shot at a medal, and that was bronze and a berth to nationals. The Rustlers faced the Red Deer Queens. We'll go to the first end when Ocean Smart will try the simple hit and stick. That would make it a 1-0 lead. Now, after the Rustlers would steal one in the second, RDC's Caitlin Schur facing one yellow at the top of the 4, and she clears it, cutting the Lakeland lead. Smart trying to restore the 2-point lead in the 4th, gets the hit and roll 3-1. Now with the score 3-2 and Smart's final stone, looking to clear the Queen stones in the 4-foot, but the shot dies towards the rings. It ended up being a steal to tie it up. So 7th end was blanked. Going to the 8th end, Smart facing 2 RDC stones, needing to clear them both. Instead, her shooter rolls out and the RDC Queens win the bronze medal 4-3, and the loss also means no nationals for the ladies.
Well, it was a tight game. We played well. It just came down to the last rock. It was just an inch off, and that was all. A little disappointed. It would have been nice to make nationals, win another bronze medal, but it is what it is.
We all made some pretty decent shots. We all missed some shots too. We just happened to miss a couple more than the other team.
Meantime, the Rustlers mixed team was in the bronze medal match, taking on NAIT, and we'll pick this up in the second end. After the Rustlers give up 3, the Rustlers are facing one of the Ooks stones. Robin Gerard hits and sticks for the single. The Ooks were too much for the Rustlers, however. They would end things with a big 3-point and in 6. Eventually running out of rocks, the Rustlers would fall by a score of 7-4. It was quite a weekend for the Lloydminster Bobcats, just playing the lone game on Friday against the Grand Prairie Storm. The Bobcats were victorious, collecting a big 2 points. Tyler Coons broke a 1-1 tie late in the game, and Patrick Geary added some insurance as the Bobcats knocked off the Storm out of playoff contention with the 3-1 win. The victory for the Cats gives them home ice advantage for the first round of the playoffs, which will be big for the Bobcats heading into the second season.
This time of year, wins to get momentum and to build on what you have to do in the playoffs are big. And we got 40 minutes of that tonight. I think these next 3 games we have, 2 against Fort Mac and 1 against Camrose, if you play 40 minutes, you're going to be in tough trying to win the hockey game.
The Bobcats are back in action this Wednesday against the Camrose Kodiaks. Meanwhile, in the AJHL, the Bonnyville Pontiacs yesterday had a game with Grand Prairie. Now, it was moved to Sunday after a water main break in the town from the night before. The Bobcats, or Pontiacs rather, would go on to win by a score of 5-3. Spencer Fu would add his 37th goal of the season. Max Gottlieb would also chip in with a pair. Luke Mahura and Wyatt Noski would have the other goals for the Yaks. The Lloydminster Rohan Rage were aiming for a clean sweep this weekend after earning a 4-2 win in Fort Sask Saturday. Sunday, they took on the CAC United Cycle. However, it wasn't meant to be. Zane Jabber with the lone goal for Lloydminster in the 4-1 loss. The Rage's next game is March 1st in Leduc before they wrap up the regular season at home the next day against the SSAC Bulldogs. That is your first look at sports. Gerard Lampeau has your weather forecast coming up. Hockey closer to home now. The PWM Steelers cruise to a 5-2 victory in their opening game of the second round of the playoffs and look to take a commanding 2-0 lead in their best-of-5 series with Peace Country. Move to the highlights in the first period. Steelers turn it over. Tasmin Hemingway makes a nice move through the goal mouth. 1-0 Storm on the power play. Peace Country with another man advantage, and it's Rachel Paul who's allowed to walk in the slot. 2 early goals putting the Steelers down 2. PWM will get that back. On a 5-on-3, Delaney Edwards jams home the rebound. Steelers cut that lead in half. Less than a minute later on the power play, Steelers win the face-off. Back to the point, Erica Shesnuk off screen, but trust me, she's there. The point shot finds the back of the net, 2-2. Moments after that, Storm regain the lead. Steelers answer back. Delaney Ross dipsy doodles around the defender and gets the backhand to tie it at 3. PWM would come back to win this one 5-4. That's all the time we have in sports. We'll have more Newcap news and weather after the break.